Content warning. Cursing. The dream.
Hi, I'm Lizzy Hannah. We're recording on Black Street right now, and my dream is about an intersection that I thought I had been to once before in Halifax. I'd only been to Halifax once before, and I thought I had seen this beautiful intersection with a really beautiful Victorian house, but as I realize now, it's a total fabrication, because in my dream, I imagined that this intersection was just a block away from my home, and I was really frustrated, being like, why haven't I been to this intersection? It's so close to me. It's so beautiful. I need to go over there. So, the next morning, I even went on a walk to go find this intersection and validate that it didn't exist. It was just in my dream. So, it's this crazy, beautiful intersection. There's a coffee shop and a white picket fence, and I placed it in the middle of nowhere in Halifax.
What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? Okay, so we're getting kind of Inception-y within this dream, trying to figure out where the layers of dream and reality intersect in this narrative. So the one part that we're pinpointing is that she had a dream recently about this intersection, and within the dream she was like, why haven't I been there? It's a beautiful intersection, it's very close to my house, I should go, and I haven't been. And that's the dream itself.
That's the dream that she's talking about.
That's the dream that she's talking about. And then she woke up into real life from that dream and then went to try and verify that it's not actually real. Because when she woke up, she was like, that was a dream. That intersection's not real. I guess I'll go check and make sure it's not real. And then she went and checked and it wasn't there.
Yeah.
And there was also this reference to maybe because she had been to Halifax in the past before she lived here, it sounded like maybe she had already dreamt of this intersection within that. But what I'm wondering is whether it's possible in the way that memories can get planted within dreams, like false memories, whether like this recent dream she had where there was this memory of this intersection, maybe that's the genesis of this whole intersection being birthed in her mind's eye, and she had never actually thought of it or dreamed it before.
She dreamt up during this recent dream, she dreamt up
this
a previous dream of the intersection to give it some history.
Yeah, because dreams sometimes do that, and it's very disorienting.
And you wouldn't have the feeling of like, why haven't I been there yet? I live in Halifax now, if you hadn't actually dreamt of it before. But maybe that's the whole point of the whole dream.
Yeah, the dream.
Like, she had to dream of the previous dream in order to dream the frustration of not having been there because she'd already dreamed of it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we can ask Lizzy about this at some later date to just clarify.
Yeah.
But we can roll with this version.
Yeah. Well,
that we have.
Regardless of whether she dreamt of it already in the past or not, it still has the same general impact.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Which is that Halifax is new to her also. Like,
yes.
For context, she's been here for just a few months.
A few months, yeah.
So, and having visited and, knowing people here and maybe having some ideas about the place. Like, I think this is a thing that we do where after you visit somewhere, you have like very specific memories of it and associations and feelings. And it's easy to idealize things.
Yes, definitely.
And then when you're actually there, you try to piece it together and realize that, like, what you're actually thinking of or remembering is, like, kind of has been arranged by your brain out of a combination of your imagination and maybe elements of what exists and elements of what exists in other places. And I definitely, like, recognize that experience from having had it myself, like, not dream-wise, but like just in general, like you think you remember a place and then you go there and you're like, I just must have invented that because it is not this way.
What was your experience of doing that? Like, do you have one that comes to mind?
No, but no, I don't have a specific example, unfortunately, but that general experience. And I think often the feeling is that I've dreamt it.
Which is often what deja vu and like weird things like that, we always feel like, oh, is this a dream maybe?
And I think it comes from this like sense of familiarity where you're like, I know this place, I have good feelings about it. Like, you know, I like cafes, I like white picket fences. Like these
Victorian
are
houses.
Victorian houses. Like these are all like things
aesthetically pleasant things.
Yeah, like and possible to be in that place.
Yeah.
And you might just kind of, it's like a short form for what the place is to you.
Yeah.
You kind of just like amalgamate it all together into this like simple image and you file that away. And then when you actually go back to that place, you're like, that's the memory that you pull out about it. But it's just like a short form memory. So it's not actually accurate. It's like this.
It's like a feeling that's been translated into images.
Yeah.
And then when it gets retranslated into the real world, it doesn't match.
Yeah.
But maybe the feeling still does in some way.
I know. I think, I think you can find then, it almost gives you kind of like a roadmap in a way, or not really a map at all, but like, like it's literally not a map, but like, it gives you like reference points, I guess, to seek out.
Like she should go seek out these things that are in this image of what she thinks Halifax is.
Yeah, and I think she'll find out, like, as long as she's not expecting that to be all arranged in the same physical way that it is in the memory or the dream, then she's going to be able to find, like, a cute cafe and, like, these beautiful homes and, like, these... She'll find those elements because they probably are all really from her memory, like, pieces, like, bits and pieces and feelings, and she could probably find those here as long as she's not looking for them, like, in...
Too rigidly.
That. Yeah, in that, like, exact format of that intersection.
Man, and that's a good thing to think about in terms of anything that you're aiming for in the future. Like, when you're trying to build a life, like, when you're moving towards something that doesn't exist yet and you're trying to create that thing... You know, it's like you do need to create reference points for yourself that you're orienting towards, or else you're just casting about in the void and you're flailing. So it's good to have a compass with these specific, like, little ideas that you want to stitch together into your reality. But also, you really do need to be able to be flexible to what's really there and, like, to be able to move with the reality that presents itself to you in such a way that maybe you can pick out the things that kind of match, but also... that you are not rejecting everything flat out because it's not exactly the way that you envisioned it. Yeah.
To use things as like a sketch, like to use those goals that you might have about your life or those like those like fake memories or dream images as like a general, they're like your Pinterest like board. Like you're not gonna like make the exact
most millennial way of describing.
I don't have Pinterest. I actually don't know how you'll use it. It's like your vision board. It's a vision board. It's a vision board. It's not like you're gonna go and buy that exact chair. Like you're not gonna like click on the ad and like go buy it from
whoever,
the website or whatever, but you're like when you're out on the street and you see
a garbage chair that
you're gonna take that chair.
You're gonna pick that garbage chair up. Yeah, it's like when I found. Is this the same thing? No, that was too close to exactly what I wanted. It's when I manifested my garbage keyboard. You know, I went to the pawn shop looking for something else, got distracted by the keyboards, was like, I really, really want a keyboard. These ones are almost what I want, but I know exactly what I want, and I can't spend the money right now. I should go home and Google it. Didn't go home and Google it, but the next day, when I'm biking down the street in a garbage bucket, the exact keyboard I want.
That's almost the opposite. That's pretty much the opposite message. Because then you're like, if you find something that's similar but not the same,
don't
reject it.
Reject it and wait for the real thing. It's going to be in a garbage bucket.
Bag.
It's going to come to you whole. Don't compromise, guys. Lizzy, find that intersection. Find it exactly as it is. You know what?
If it doesn't exist, become a developer and build that cafe.
And you know what? That was actually one of the first things that popped into my head when Lizzy said this dream to me was like I made a joke with myself in my own head about how maybe this is a prophetic dream and that intersection will exist one day.
Yeah.
Which, you know, technically she describes a Victorian house, so they can never be. If the Victorian house is not there, you're never going to have a future Victorian house.
But then again, it might not be in Halifax. It might be somewhere else and she's going to find herself later in her life. And it like she might think that it's going to happen right now here, like this move that she's made, but it's going to be like in 10 years or whatever when she moves to like somewhere in New England, whatever, you know? Like somewhere that's similar, but not the same.
Oh my gosh.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I've gone about face on our first interpretation. Be rigid about your goals. Seek the exact thing that the universe delivers to you whole in a vision. I just do not let anything take you off your track.
You know when you get to that thing, though. Like, if she comes to a place and she finds that fence,
yes,
and the cafe is not there and the other elements aren't there,
but she'll
recognize the fence and she'll feel it.
Yes.
Like, be open to the possibility that your mind is like filling in other parts, but there's elements of it that are real and true, and you could potentially find them, but also open to the possibility that the whole thing does exist, just not where you expect it to be. Like, you know, in that case, like, the inaccurate thing would be that it was in Halifax. Like, maybe the whole image exists, but she's remembering it from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure she's been to places that are other than Halifax.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
And she's just, for some reason, associated with here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she assumed that she had arrived at the place.
Yeah.
You know, it's like sometimes you're just like, I must be there finally. It must be the place now.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just not yet.
Yeah.
And she'll get there. And you know, that makes me think about my garbage piano again. Like, the one feature that it doesn't have that I really wanted to have was one of those little things that you can make it go like, wah, 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 you know, like my wobble. It doesn't have that. And that was one of the things in my head that was like, that's an important feature. And,
critical.
But then it was okay, because once I saw the piano, my garbage piano in its bucket, I knew that it was for you. And
yeah.
So, I
yeah,
think you'll find your intersection, Lizzy. It's just not where you thought it was.
Yeah.
Don't give up. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening. Help us keep making this by subscribing to and reviewing the podcast wherever you listen to it, and following and liking us on social media.
If you love this, you can support us on Patreon.
We will reward you.